Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Self-Made issue number 5. Alright, they claim this issue is intense. I didn't think it was that intense, but there is a pretty major character death in here that I wasn't expecting to happen, but when I saw the situation, I'm like, oh yeah, there's about to be a character death that I wasn't expecting to happen. Anyway, more on that in a bit. First, let's get into who made this book. So we got Self-Made, issue number 5, Leap of Faith, Raider, Matthew Groom, artist Eduardo Ferragamo, colors Marcelo Costa, color flats Mariana Khalil, and letters A Larger World's Troy Pateri. Kyle Higgins is on editing. It's kind of important. And Olivia King doing the logo design. All right. Also, for the sake of conversation, I'm going to say that Michael Busutil, sorry for butchering that name, is the production design. Why do I mention production design? Because Michael here happened to be on the podcast with Matthew Groom. Don't forget that there's a podcast that comes out every time that a new issue comes out for Self-Made. It's the Self-Made podcast. There's also a newsletter I found out today while, listening to the podcast. I did actually know it was in the back of the this comic book. That's what it was. I'm just like, wait, what? Anyway. So we got this cat who takes a drug to hallucinate, and it's from a lot of this comic book is translated from the Portuguese language. So I'm assuming I was going to say the Portuguese, but that's just silly. So just from Portuguese, all right. Anyhow, they this is cool because it's kind of like a Matrix issue, and this issue made me a little bit sad because, like, seeing as it is kind of like the Matrix, and we know that the original idea for the Matrix was also the original idea that came to start the internet. So when I lost all my comic books in 2011, I also lost an autographed copy of Neuromancer. Yeah, I was very disappointed by that. Mr. Gibson signed it for me. Just unfortunately not a lot of people at that bookstore, so it was a very quick line. And it was kind of one of my prized possessions. So anyway, this we basically get the concept that all of this existence that we're in is actually just a simulation. It's a concept that's been around for a really long time, ever since Cogito Ergo Sum, Descartes. And actually even longer than that, I would imagine. All of it, are we really here? I mean, really? So when Amala realizes that she wasn't really there, or was she? It's a, philosophical question. We all now have to ask the same question. So, yeah, I really dug this. This is a cool concept to play with. I mean, it's been done a lot of times before, but I can't say that it's come anywhere near to being done to death. Every time that somebody does one of these, they usually bring in an entirely new concept, which is, it's the same concept, but it's a different take on that concept. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it here. This was very spiritual. The Matthew Groom in the podcast is like, I'm sorry this was so intense. I didn't see this as being intense at all. Everything, like life, is just a transfer from one place to another, basically. Energy doesn't die. The question is, does conscience die? So that's the question that, in this comic book at least, is going to be answered with the next issue and the next podcast. I heard some disappointing news. The next issue is going to be the final issue for now. They're going to take a break after issue 6. They meant to do it in arcs, apparently. That's disappointing to hear, but whatever. Whatever it takes to get the following issue out in a proper way, I'm down with it. Why did this issue go to 24 pages instead of the standard 20 or 22? Check out the podcast, you'll understand. There's a bunch of things. Go and check out the podcast to understand more about this comic book, a deeper take into this comic book. And I'm actually kind of curious what's in the newsletter, but, is what it is. Anyway, this was a very fun comic book. Anybody who's looking into, spirituality in any way, shape, or form, I don't care if it's thaumaturgic, I don't care if it's through ancient Native American roots or just, First Nation roots, I don't care if it's a Wiccan mentality, I don't care if it's a pseudo-Christian mentality, I don't care. This issue, this is not like, wow moving because we didn't actually get there yet, but there's a possibility of something moving coming in the next issue. Now, they're saying it's going to be really intense. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think their version of intense is different from my take on intense. But this, I like any comic book, any kind of literature that's going to explore this sort of a concept. So I'm really looking forward to Matthew Groom's take on the afterlife, or if there's something else there. Anyway, guys, check out the comic book, Professor Bell Comic Book University. Class dismissed.